probably, you know, hit record on here as well. Alright, I'm just going to quickly grab a coffee because we've got like 5 minutes. Yeah, that's alright, I'll be 2 secs, don't worry. Nothing will go wrong, trust me. Hi everyone, welcome to Saturday. It's another live stream, and a big warm welcome to my guest today, which is really nice to have you here. And I'm just going to quickly switch to this one here. 1 second. I've just caught myself off guard. Here we go. Hi to Inky. How you going, Inky?
Hello. Pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So yeah, we've got a fair bit going on today, and what I thought we'd definitely do is just quickly cover up everything that we're going to go through so that you guys can see that it's worth hanging around, I guess. So obviously we'll have a nice chat to Inky here, and we're going to do our usual geekery segments like the news and the funny side, and also we're going to do a little bit on the Yamaha XG, which I did promise. So just a quick peek at that. Hopefully this will work. And don't forget, you guys who are in the chat room, to jump into chat and say hi to everybody. So yeah, in front of me I've got the MU1000 Yamaha synthesizer. This thing came from the 90s, so it's pretty old. You can see by the old-fashioned sort of grey, I think whoever owned this in Japan, I got this from Japan a few years ago off eBay, but they must have had cigarette smoky fingers because these buttons are all yellowed from nicotine.
Didn't everything from that era was designed like that and has all gone that kind of weird colour, hasn't it?
Yeah, all the
that
bromide.
Grey cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got this wonderful thing out now called Retro Bright, which is a way that you can actually get it all back to the original colours, which all the computer geeks are doing with those Commodore 64s and things like that. But so I do apologise. I've got two cameras here. One is right in front of my hand, and if I knock it with my shoulder, it's going to be a little bit annoying for you guys, but hopefully it's not too bad. It's pretty tight. And obviously I've got the other camera from overhead where you can see me playing. So hopefully that works okay. But we'll definitely get to that a bit later. And also we're going to have a little chat. We won't do it just yet, but we're definitely going to have a little chat about studio monitors and their place in our world.
I'm not sure we should open that can of worms, but yeah, go on, then we can do that. We can start some arguments, debates.
So we've got a few people on the channel already, and so far no one's jumped into chat to say hi. So let me just be the first. Oh, who's going to be the first to say something? And it's going to be me. Yay.
My phone's over here.
There we go. Hold on. It was me. In before. Oh dear. I was trying to see if I could troll someone to get in before me, but I was pretty quick. Anyway, hopefully, I don't know what time it is over in your part of the world. I know where I am, it's just hit 10 p.m, 10:03, and I know where Inky is, it's probably about 3 o'clock. Is that right, Inky?
Yeah, Saturday afternoon here.
Saturday afternoon. And yeah. And also, I know if there's a few people over in the US, it's depending on what side of the US you're on, it's either going to be really early in the morning on a Saturday. You're probably suffering from Friday night fever, or it might be relatively mid-morning if you're in the New York sort of area. But anyway, I've got myself a coffee, so this is probably my third coffee for today. It's bad. I don't normally drink so much coffee. I don't know why. Anyway,
I was really tempted to break out a little beer, but it's a bit too early here. So,
well, there's an old saying, Inky. It's after 12 in London. Have you heard that saying?
Yeah, no, I haven't. It's like after the sun passes over the noon, isn't it? So
that's it. We don't really need an excuse, though, do we?
No.
All right. So what I think we'll do first is there's a bit of news. So we'll get stuck into the news. The first thing that's come up is Korg have released some firmware updates for the Minilog and the Monolog, and obviously bipartisan of that, the Minilog XD, which is the new Minilog version. Now, this is definitely newsworthy because for those who have got monologues or minilogs, so what I'll do first is I'll address, obviously the picture on the screen is a minilog, but trust me that this also is a firmware update for the monolog, which is the mono version of the minilog, I guess you'd call it. They're different though. Okay, so what are the new features they've brought out? This is a free update. You can download and update your firmware. There's a new active step feature. This is monolog, not minilog, okay, so just bear with me. Micro tuning is now included. So they've brought the feature that's on the XD across now to the monolog and minilog. They've got micro tuning, which is awesome.
Cool.
You've got a thing now which will display the original value, which is something that I've always wanted on my mini log. So if you're adjusting knobs and parameters, it will actually tell you where you're actually the original value of that preset.
Yeah, that's useful. You want that, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a new slider range parameter, added options to turn off the oscilloscope display. So some people have, I don't know why, but some people have whinged that they don't want to see the oscilloscope on there. So if I ever find you, no, that's fine. Obviously, that's cool. Increased granularity of Midi filter setting. I don't know what that is, but that has definitely pricked my nerdiness radar. And it's got some other things, support for MIDI set position messages, and a few bug fixes. So that's the monologue. Now let's see what the mini log is. Same things as the monologue. So micro tuning, original value display, new slider parameter, increased granularity is another one. Support for key trig feature, which is actually a feature on the monologue, and a unified motion view display with the mini log. So if you actually bring a monologue and a mini log together, sorry, what am I saying? If you bring a mini log, I'm getting my tongue twisted here. If you bring a mini log XD and a mini log together and connect them, you've got this unified motion display feature on it, which I think there's a video on that, which apparently is pretty cool. So it makes them polyphonic. You can polychain them and all that sort of stuff. So there you go. And massive update from Korg, and it's free, which I always like.
Yeah. So does that apply to, how does that last feature work exactly?
I'm going to be checking it out now. Obviously I don't have a XD mini log, but I've got a mini log, so I'll definitely be checking it out, and you know, we'll go and have a look at it later, I guess. Now this one's actually something that Inky's brought to my attention. This is let me just put it on the screen so I know what we're talking about. This is the new Vector synth, and Inky, you brought this to my attention. Do you want to have a quick chat about it, or do you want me just to sort of play some YouTube videos or something?
Well, you can play the YouTube video because that is all I know.
Yeah.
I've got some theories on it, but they haven't really released much. You know, you'd think they'd release a demo, sort of.
So without invoking the YouTube police, let's have a quick look at what's happening over here. Now I'm just going to pause it there because I actually think people should watch this video themselves. I'm going to link all this stuff below in the description. It's not there yet, but when the video of the live stream reattaches itself to my channel, I'll put all the links in the description. And also, just while we're talking about links in the description, there'll be a link to Inky's YouTube channel, of course, as well.
Thank you.
So you can go check her out. Now, what's this synth about? Well, I had a bit of a look. It's not a massive look, but let's just have a quick look here. So is it playing 4 different sounds and morphing between them? Is that, because that's my theory about it, okay,
on an XY axis. I mean,
so what they're saying, it's a unique hybrid synthesizer which combines several different types of synthesis into one. It's not these people aren't the first to do this. But this is a touchscreen interface to the left of me, so it's kind of like it's like a laptop, I guess. Yeah, and
you can manipulate the sound with your finger.
You can.
That's the bit I quite like.
Yeah, so it's a bit like an MPC Live in that sense. So what you can do, there's this thing called that screenshot there doesn't show it that well, but that screenshot there does. You can warp and orbit. To explore different motions through, they've got like these different mix points, and you can change the shape, the size, position, the rotation on the touchscreen, and you can sort of morph, like you said, fast or smooth through wide sonic palettes. So that's what you're talking about. It's kind of like an oscillator or a waveform or a wavetable morphing sort of feature. And what I like about it too is it's got some nice mappable and default hardware controls on there as well. So there's some stuff on there that's dedicated and it's always going to stay like that, but some of those knobs you can actually map specific functions to. And the other thing too is they've got an active Linux based firmware, and that actually gets my geeky sort of propeller head flapping a bit.
So is that like open source, so you could program it a bit?
Well, it's saying that this is what they say. It enables quick and flexible development. Now, I don't know whether that means that we can do quick development, or does that mean that they're able to do quick? So that's kind of like the next question I've got. But if anyone's interested in this, their actual release date for this is today. So reservations open 29th of June, that's today. And its early bird price is €766. So they've got an early bird price on this. Now, I'm not getting any kickbacks for this, guy. So if you're in my channel thinking, I'm getting kickbacks, it's absolutely not true. This is just something that Inky and I have come across.
Yeah.
And we've just thought it was cool. So
yeah, it was definitely... Do you know anything about the company as well? Because I've not really heard about this company either.
These are new players as far as I know. I probably should find out if there's anyone in there that are known, but it doesn't really say a lot on their website. But anyway, I'll be linking it in the description below later on. If everyone wants to check it out, it's called Vector Synth, VECTOR, synth, synth.com. So you can go check that out. All right, moving on to the last bit of news, so I don't want to bore people too much. Ready, set, go. There we go. Last bit of news. Now this one's kind of cool. This is, I actually love this stuff. This is where new technology meets old. Now, the graphic doesn't really show you anything, but this is actually a company who, I think they're Australian, and they're making this thing called a hypercard or a H card. And they're called, the company's called Hypersynth, and they're making expansion cards for DX7s and TX802s and Roland D50s. So these are all those 80s digital synths that had the cartridges in them, and these cards are actually enables you to improve your storage and patch storage capacity on it. And I've got a little video, so I don't think these guys will mind if we play it. Let me just go back to my screen and transition and play.
Everyone, this is Ra from Mad Fame, and in front of me I have the H-Card 701 designed by Hypersynth for the DX7 Mark I. The H-Card series offers a modern, portable storage solution for vintage synth owners. The current version of the 701 can store up to 400 banks with 32 patches per bank. That's a staggering 12.
That's actually really, really cool. Like, I won't go into it more, but it's got a little LED display on there. And the amount of storages of the patches on there is actually really, really, really cool. So if you guys want to check those guys out, hypersynth.com, spelled as it sounds. So yeah, there's our news for today. What do you think of that one, Inky?
Well, I think it's cool, and I'm surprised no one's come up with it before, really, because yeah, there's some synths people going to be certainly happy about that, aren't there?
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. And I think also that there's a potential here for these things to be. I don't know if you guys are into the sort of retro computing, you probably would have heard of those USB based floppy drive conversions, and you can do that on your Yamaha. There's a Yamaha synth which had a floppy drive in it called a DX72FD, and it had the old 3.5-inch floppy drive in it, and you could get this upgrade. It's called a someone on chat will remind me what it's called, something Goda drive or something like that, and you can plug a USB thumb drive into it, and that acts like your floppy drive, except obviously USBs can store way much more than what a floppy drive can. So that's kind of along those lines, and I wouldn't be surprised if this technology heads down that path as well, because once we can start tapping into the electronics of the old hardware, interfacing it with some smart new hardware, we're able to sort of grow from there. Now let's just have a quick look, see how our chat's going, because
I can't see the chat. I've just noticed there's people in there that. So hello everybody, but for some reason you're not coming through on my phone.
That's all right.
Thanks,
They're
guys.
all definitely here, so I'm just going to have a quick shout out to everyone that's in there. So SJ is in there, and she's saying, or he's saying, hi Lisa.
He.
That's a he,
SJ.
cool. And Inverted Popes. So a big shout out to Inverted Popes. And who else have we got? I'll go back and read
really cool.
So yeah, so far that's it. A couple of people jumping into chat saying hi. So just it was awesome.
I can't see the chat. I've got my phone on, but for some reason it's decided I'll try and log back in.
Yeah. All right. Well, what we'll do while you're doing that, Inky, is we'll go to the next segment, which hopefully everyone still loves and they're not ready to throw something at the screen yet, and that's called Funny Side. And I do have a stinger for this. So, ready, set, go. Well, here we go. This is our, everybody's favourite segment. Let's just make it that. The Funny Side. And this is where I've kind of go across the interwebs over the week, and I find memes and other funny things. Geez, this week was, delivering just as good as all the previous weeks. And I should add, if you guys come across something and you want me to add it to my Funny Side segment, please inbox me. All my socials are just below. So you can do it via Twitter, via Facebook, or even go to the About part of my YouTube channel, and you should find my email address there as well. Anyway, who has had a parcel from a delivery person and they've left the card and you've been home? I think it's just about everyone in this world, right? So this one is, as a kid, did you ever knock on someone's door and run away before they could answer? Well, guess what? UPS are hiring. That is gold. That is, I reckon, just about every person who's into synths and hardware has waited for a parcel to come and been home all day.
Yes, yeah, and told them the exact hour you won't be there, so they turn up quarter of an hour into that hour, and you catch them. This true story. I caught him putting it back on the truck. And he hadn't even rang the bell, and I was like, yeah.
Shout out to 888 Berg, who's just popped in, so g'day to him. Now, let's go to the next one. You know what I'm like, I like my doorless stuff. So this is a jamless door. Instead of a doorless jam, this is a jamless door. That was a good one. Gold, guys, gold. And then obviously, if you guys come across these cool ones over the week, please share. Now, Cindy's one that regularly does these on one of the Facebook groups that I follow, and this is hers, and I love this because this is something that I've always thought about. Here we go. You guys work it out. There's a battleship game, which we've all played as kids.
Yeah.
And below it is a VCS3. Now, what we're looking at on the VCS3 is that little matrix with the little pegs on it.
Yeah.
With
the, yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, that's why we all want to spend £4,000 on a VCS3 so we can play battleships with our mates.
Or two.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. I mean, let's make them MIDI controlled and networked, and
you could end up making a really top tune on it just by playing battleships. Who knows?
That's a good one. All right, so there you go. There's my segments, and hopefully, I haven't scared people away from the channel. Even me. So yeah, so let's have a little introduction to you, Inky. So I'm going to give you the full floor. If you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, and happy for you to take the floor. Off you go.
Okay.
Not putting you on the spot or anything.
So I started, I come from a DJing background, and I went back to university to study music, and I ended up doing music for film and TV. And it was I hated it. I hated everything about it. and it was about as far away from DJing as you can kind of imagine for me. It was very much sitting down, thinking, non-tactile, with a very defined job, really. So I was pretty, I wasn't in a good place. And then I found YouTube and started looking at hardware and decided to buy a couple of MPCs and a mixer, because I thought that might be the future for me to make music on. And then got into synths more. And that's it, really. That's won a couple of hardware jam competitions for a Hardware Jams channel on Facebook. So that's where I'm at, kind of making live music.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's where I'm at today, So yeah, that's it.
That's brilliant. And I think it's really cool to sort of know that you're saying that you're into the hardware, and you've kind of come through that sort of evolving stage where you've got your music to a point where you're winning competitions, and you're really sort of loving it. And there's that sort of marriage between your workflow and the hardware, and it's coming through because you're winning things. So that's obvious. I think it's really cool.
For me, DJing on vinyl was always quite. You were always doing something, so you had to be busy, and it was quite work intensive and you didn't have time to think, and it was fun. And for me, I was trying to get the fun back into it, because I'm better making music when I'm having fun, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So that's it, really.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And so you mentioned that you went back to uni. So yeah, I mean, I actually did uni later in life. I didn't do it straight after school, so I kind of know how that feels. And it's a kind of interesting thing when you're going to uni and you've got all these 18 and 19-year-olds all around the place, isn't it?
Well, because I was supposed to do law, but it's a long story. I ended up doing music just on a whim, and I stood in front of these 19, 20-year-old people, and I said, I'm going to make music without a computer. And they all looked at me as if I'd gone insane. The whole class, everybody just went, how are you going to do this? And I was like, well, I tried to describe it, but I don't think a lot of younger musicians actually know what a synthesizer actually is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't. The look on their faces, they couldn't comprehend how you can make music. And I know MPCs are computers, but and everything's got computers in it. But yeah, they were really, as musicians, we're kind of given the computer as this is what you're going to make music on. For a lot of the younger generation, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're given options, and I definitely don't think it's for everyone.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that the hardware versus software kind of world it's kind of dividing further and further apart. I do believe that. I think all the sort of younger generation, they're all tablet based, and they're computer based. So once they actually start evolving into that deeper, then they discover hardware. Then they discover that the sort of progression and the journey becomes sort of neat for them. And that's what I'm finding with the younger people that I talk to. Whereas, I mean, my world started with hardware, which is strange because, my professional world is IT, which has always been computers. But yeah, when it comes to music, it's almost like I've got a split personality. So yeah, I can fully get it.
I mean, I don't like the hardware software kind of argument. I think it is how you want to make music. So
exactly, yep.
SJ's in the chat room. SJ makes brilliant music.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it's about I've got to be standing up doing stuff.
Yeah.
I can't sit down. If I start thinking, it goes wrong, So for me, it's very tactile.
Yeah.
But I do think the younger generation do need to be given. My business plan for my degree is to take hardware to, colleges and a pair of circuits actually, and a little Chaos DJ thing.
Yeah.
And let them just have a jam, because it's the fun factor.
Yeah.
It's the fun factor that, and in certain dance music, I think we're missing fun factor.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
while we're talking, let's just quickly grab the chat window up. Inverted Pope said that that's one of the reasons why he moved to modular. He wanted to get back to more hands-on, and that's where he came from, and there's room enough for everyone in that part of the world. And there's a lot of people agreeing with what you say.
Yeah, he's really good as well. Check his channel as well. He's really good. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. So for those guys who are in the chat room, when the video does go back up and posts itself to my channel, which will probably be about an hour or so after the stream finishes, you'll be able to post your links to your YouTube in the comment part under normal videos. But I don't think it lets you do it in the chat, unfortunately. I don't think there's anything I can do to change that either. I think it's just a YouTube thing. So, but I'm more than happy for you guys to post in my comment section underneath. So make sure you do. If you don't forget, you can do it tomorrow. No problems there. Anyway, so so let's have a quick look at this side of things, which was the Yamaha XG. Now, I mentioned, I think last week, who was on my stream probably would have remembered me saying I actually do have a synthesizer as well as this box, and the synthesizer I've got is the Yamaha CS1X, and I just sort of thought that it was probably just a bit too much to set everything up. So I'm not going to set the CS1X up, but if you guys really are keen on that side of things, let me know, and I can definitely do it later. I just want to give you guys Yamaha CS1X. Just get an image of it, so if people have never seen one before, you're about to see one. Alright, and how do we get this up? It's always good fun doing this in live streams because you're always challenged. There you go, that's what a Yamaha CS1X looks like. It's a real 90s. It's blue and it's a little bit ugly. It's my ugly synth. So there you go. That's what a CS1X looks like. But yeah, I don't think we need it. I mean, really, it's just going to make the same sounds. Don't forget, XG is digital. So everything that comes out of this thing is going to sound exactly the same. And, here's a nylon guitar. Yes, it does sound quite funny.
Dated.
I think there was quite a classic song that sort of went like, how did it go? No. Something like, if I got this, I don't know, something like that. Classic 90s dance song, and it was a nylon guitar. Children, that was it. I can't even remember how to play it. It's been so long. But I mean, you guys will be absolutely amazed how many people have recorded albums and used the XG sounds in them. And you can see here, we can change really easily any of these settings just by adjusting this little thing here. And it's full Midi implemented too, so pitch wheel, mod wheel, everything like that. Doesn't have aftertouch though, but you can actually probably program it in if you knew how to do it. And it has built-in effects, and it's actually pretty big. In fact, this has got filters in it. In terms of subtractive synthesis, you can actually do a bit of that in here as well. It has envelopes. It has
So what? Can I ask what year that came out?
You've put me on the spot there. I actually can't remember. I think it was 9. Well, the CS1X came out a bit after XG came out. So where are we? I can actually tell you when that came out. CS1X is 1996. So I would say let's see what Dr. Google says for Yamaha XG.
Oh no, I've got you on Google, have I?
Yeah,
Sorry.
because I've forgotten now.
I'll guess I'm going to go for
94.
Oh,
there you go. So it wasn't that
later.
Yep. And this MU 1000 tone generator would probably be, I reckon, about 96 to 97, somewhere around there. So it's actually pretty similar age to my CS1X synth. And the other thing too about this XG thing is you could actually get PCI cards for your PC, and you could. I think the most famous one was the SW60G. It was an ISA card, and you could put these into your PC. What's it called? The SYXG50 soft synth came out as well, and you could play like literally all the XG sounds in your computer with this card, and it was generating the sounds obviously on the chip on the card. So it was pretty much the same as this thing, but built into a card. And that's kind of this kind of started Yamaha's. That was their next sort of stage of their development. Like they went from, obviously they started with the DX synthesis, the FM stuff.
Yeah.
Then they went to this, and then the next stage after that was the AWG stuff, which they're still using now. And so then you got things like the AN1X synth that came out about a year later. And then you had those groove boxes, the AN200. I've got there's a video on my channel about that one. And they've got these daughter cards, similar sort of thing. So it's on Google if you want to have a look. But for some reason it's not showing up. Okay, that's fine. Is the stream still working?
I think so. Hold on. Let me have a look.
Yep. Sometimes it goes quiet in here and I just think, okay, something's just gone wrong. But anyway, yeah. Just a quick look in chat while we're just because some people like to talk in chat and I like to include them. Yeah, it sounds similar to a CZ1000. It does. And you can get them you can get them on eBay pretty cheap, this XG stuff at the moment. I'm not predicting this, but I wouldn't be surprised if the XG stuff will start to go up in value soon, because it isn't used in anything new. It's not included. It's a technology that's stopped being used, and I think give it maybe 5-6 years, it'll start becoming, people who want to start doing that those 90s sort of music sounds, they'll be looking for this stuff. This stuff will start. I believe it'll start becoming a bit more sought after. But it's everywhere.
It's all those machines that we didn't like back in the day.
Yep.
That we were like, oh, it's a bit limited, and this sound we don't really like it. They're the kind of sounds we want to go back to because it reminds us of that time and
like this.
and so many.
The world's worst sounding guitar.
Yeah, but how many records has that been on? Probably,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the ones that make me laugh are like the synth sounds, right? So these are basically, I guess they'd be PCM samples. Probably that sounds almost FM-y. I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if Yamaha's created a patch on a DX7. Yeah, that sounds FM-y. So that's their synth bass. And there are kind of like synth strings. There we go.
That's nice.
And the polyphony on this is massive. I think it's I probably shouldn't have turned the page, but it's pretty big. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 64 voices or something crazy. And in those days, that was pretty cool. So that was one of the ways to get more notes. But not only that, the other cool thing about this is you can actually map a different instrument to all your 16 MIDI channels. So as you can see here, you've got you know, synth string as, I think it's MIDI channel 1, right? Oh, sorry, just knocking the mic here. So that's MIDI channel 1, but MIDI channel 2 is a different sound.
That's cool.
MIDI channel 3, different sound.
So if you had 16 key steps, you could play all the sounds at once.
Well, you could have a band playing on a different key step, and they're all playing a different instrument. Or you can just do what I did and just change the MIDI channel. But the other way you can look at it too is just with this part knob here, and you can see that it shows MIDI channel 2 there.
Yeah.
Rock organ, MIDI channel 3, muted guitar, distorted guitar, rock organ, shift lead, pick bass, blah 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 blah. And I think always MIDI channel 10 is always a drum kit. And I think that's not going to work because I need to change it to MIDI channel 10.
It was a standard, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a standard. And I actually like some of the XG sounds. They sound really nice. And yeah, you know, there's the drum kit, and I'm really struggling. My microphone is right here, and if I need to get around this, I'm really struggling. I'm running out of desk space. And it goes all the way up to 16. So, and you can change all of these just by adjusting the knob here. And then you can store that as a patch in here. The whole thing, every single channel. And then on top of that, you can go in and edit to your heart's content. And if you want to menu dive, it's actually not too bad, this for menu diving. So you can go into effects, for example, and you just click enter. And there's the echo effect, and you've got all these settings. It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite advanced for the time, really, isn't it?
And the display is quite big too, so it's not for me that needs glasses for those little tiny electron displays. This is huge. Yeah. You know, so I'm not. It's got some visual elements down the bottom too, which tell you stuff, and you can learn what these are. There's little hints here like part, bank, volume, expansion, I think, panning, reverb, chorus, var, which is a variable effect you can change, and key. So you can tune the key here as well. So at the moment it's set to 0, so obviously C will be C, but you can transpose. And you've also got different modes. So you can see here it's got MIDI 2, XG, and it's got this plug for XG. Now I haven't gone into plug or PLG. You can see down the bottom here it's got these 3 PLG settings at the back. You can actually put cards in the back of this thing. And they're little. At the time, you could buy these expansion cards for this. So yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of a. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you ever get your hands on the old Roland groove boxes? You know, the 505. Yeah, I remember looking at one of them back in the day in the 90s, and going, "Oh, what's that about?" But never got my hands on them, and I owned a couple, and I was pretty impressed with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got an MC505 here, and it's there's a video of a couple of months ago. I did a video on the arpeggiator on it because it's actually really, really huge arpeggiator. It goes so deep.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I had the 307 and the 505, and I sold them recently, which was quite good of me because I bought the Akai Force.
Yeah, you need some money.
Well, no, it was a space, to be honest.
Yeah,
because I spent the money on other stuff anyway. I'm quite untidy, right? So I'm really untidy in real life, but my studio is quite tidy. It's the one place where everything's got a little place and everything kind of gets put away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So if things are being put on the floor, she says, looking at all the stuff on the floor, an old mixer, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you know, they were sitting around and I thought, well, I haven't got time to really learn them to rock them.
Yeah.
Because they are very in depth. And if that's all you've got, you could do a lot with it. But it looked like a lot of, it's menu diving, isn't it?
It can be, yeah. I actually found, I mean, the MC505 I've had since. So I mentioned that this Yamaha CS1X, which is that blue synth I showed before, that was my second ever synthesizer. Well, my third ever synthesizer was the Roland MC505. I actually got that thing when I think Roland actually originally brought it out, and I've had it ever since. It's around about 1997, 98, so that's the kind of vintage of that. And it's kind of similar to the way what we're talking about here with the XG stuff. It's kind of similar the way it works. So that this was kind of like the heyday of the main digital age of what synthesizers were doing. This was really, when they really just went all out and they said, right, everyone who plays in a band wants a synthesizer. They want to be able to do a choir R and then hit a button and then they've got a guitar, and hit a button and they've got a funky organ. Do you know what I mean? That's what they wanted in those days. They didn't want to be sitting there and twiddling knobs like what we want now, which was what they were doing back in the 70s and 80s. So it's kind of strange how it's all kind of, it hasn't really changed. It's just that it's kind of segregated to different needs, and different people have demanded things, to come back, and other people have said bye-bye to certain things like the XG. It's a bit sad that it stopped, but I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff that's come out that's way, way better than this. I mean, some of these sounds are just so cheesy. But imagine if you could make XG like your MPC, like where you can sample, anything, and then you could load those up as banks on like one of these modules, and then take that with you. I mean, that would make XG something pretty cool as well. Plus having all those features in here, like where you can edit. Look how you can edit this stuff. Filters, envelope generators, equalizer. There's so much in here. So.
Well, that's what I mean. For the time they came out, a lot of these like boxes, synthesizers are better than a lot of the modern day stuff. When you look at how much power, they might not be better to use because they're a bit fiddly, but in what they do or what they did, it was really quite advanced. And
yeah, that's right.
There's only really the MPC that's come out now that's really kind of going down that road. I suppose the Octatrack.
Yeah.
Which I own a Digitone, but it's kind of not plugged in because
welcome to the Electron workflow.
yeah, it's good. You come up with stuff that you would never come up with, but I still wouldn't know what I was doing. The idea of going on stage with it would be like, well, there'll be noise.
So what? I mean, Digitone is like, it's a cool thing. I mean, it's I actually think Electron were really bold when they brought that out, because really, up until then, a lot of their stuff was just kind of drum machine, grooveboxy sort of stuff, samplers, right? And then they brought the Digitone out, and in a way, it's kind of, it was kind of like when they brought the Analog 4 out, which was more of a synth for them, and had the 4-voice analog engine in it. And then the Digitone is really just an excellent way of doing an FM synth. A really, really cool way of doing one.
And to be fair, if I took the time to learn it, or actually maybe feed MIDI notes into it another way, because it's a bit weird trying to, if you get it wrong, if you try and record in live and you get it wrong because it's a couple of buttons, the whole thing just stops. So it's a bit like, you will want to get that wrong live. But the control all on it and the sounds you can get out of it, it's just the workflow for me. It's just, but I know people are rocking, a Digitone and Digitact, and they're really good at it. But for me, it's a bit complicated.
Yeah. And there's a couple of really well-known YouTubers who are pretty much owning the Electron, demo / tutorial space at the moment. I think you probably know who they are. So,
we know who they are.
There's plenty of videos out there. And I mean, for me, I've had my first Electron groove box was the Analog 4, and I got that second hand. And when I got it, the guy that I bought it off, he got it second hand as well, so technically it's third hand. And this thing, no one ever loved it until I got it, and finally it's sat here, and I've used it in albums and everything. It was amazing, and it took me a while to learn that Electron workflow, but actually it's quite intuitive. You know what I mean?
If I was going on holiday, which I don't, I live in Cornwall, so I'm by a beach. But if I was going away, that's the one box I would take, because that's what I'd get most out of. Because you'd learn it. You'd learn it.
Yeah, if you had, instead of like taking a book, you could take, like for me, I would take an Octatrack because I've got an Octatrack. Take an Octatrack with me. Load the compact flash card up with, and bring us, like an external hard drive with samples on it, and just go nuts and just go crazy, crazy.
I wouldn't take the MPC because I know it.
Yeah, you want to learn it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's
all right. So I reckon that's a good segue to talking about our next topic. Now this is going to get people heated up.
I wish I'd never mentioned it, but we kind of agree. We kind of agree, don't we?
We agree. And if those are wondering what we're going to be talking about...
Oh, no. People are going to hate us.
It's a subject that we all love or hate, and that's studio monitors. And Inky and I were just talking about this yesterday, and we were just basically saying that we don't use them. Everyone says that, have you got these studio monitors, this is the industry standard and you should be mixing and EQing and blah blah blah, but I've got right next to me here the Yamaha HS8s with the subwoofer underneath, and I hardly use it, probably once a month. In fact, when I use it, it's probably more to sort of dance around the room too, because it actually sounds really cool, but they're really loud, and I do a lot of my mixing and EQing in these Audio Technicas, and so basically what I do to mix my tracks, and I'm not exactly an expert on this either, so I would call myself very basic. I will do a high quality WAV file, chuck it in the car, listen to it in the car, and then I'll chuck it on a crappy not those Bluetooth speakers that you can get, that you can link your phone up to. And then I'll play it on my phone through a Bluetooth speaker, and I'll listen to it through that, listening it to the headphones. And I've got another set of AKG headphones there. These are noise cancelling, and the AKG is a studio in-ear, so they're different sounding headphones. And then if I feel that I still haven't quite got the mix right, I might go and use the studio monitors. But I always find, as soon as I listen to it on the studio monitors, and I start adjusting any of the mastering on it, or the mixing on it with that, if I go back and listen to it with the car, it's all screwed up again.
Well, this is my point, right? This is my point, right? This is exactly my rant. Is I think they're kind of, in certain circumstances, if you're working for films, yes. But I want to make live music, right? So why am I listening to my music on, well, I'm not, because they're all here on the floor. Why am I listening to my music on dead monitors? And then, so in a gig, I'm thinking, right, if this sounds good here, if I turn the bass up, well, those speakers are going to be far more bass heavy. I'll blow everyone out the room. I need to replicate, like what you're doing is you're replicating how other people hear it. So on the phone, on headphones, in the car. So my theory is, if I want to play out live, I need to be hearing it how other people would hear it live. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I go and do all the other things that you do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or
yeah. And tell people what you were saying that you actually do there, because you've got a set of you can't really see it on the screen, but there's a set of speakers just off to the side there. You can see there's a bit of wood. So that's the speakers there. So you listened through those.
Yeah, and they were 20 quid, I think.
Yeah.
But there's something about them.
Yep.
When I make music on them, it sounds good everywhere.
Yeah.
And I've won competitions. I've literally made a jam, put it out there. Everything you hear.
Don't show them and don't tell anyone what they are.
No.
It's your secret.
Well, but then people have been listening to my music and no one's gone, oh, that sounds a bit terrible.
Yeah.
So, and I've, as I say, I've won a couple of competitions, and so everything you hear comes out of those straight onto YouTube.
Yeah.
You know.
So, just to pause on that for a sec. 888berg's asking what Lander or Landr. I think it's L and R. I don't know how you say it. I know who you're talking about. They're a website you can go, just lander.com, I think it is, and they've got a system on there where you can upload your track and it will automatically. Well, not automatically. You can ask it to master it, and it's free. I think it's a free service. There's also paid services in there as well. And he's wondering what our opinion is on that. Now, I've used them. When I was releasing my Link album, which was at the start of the year, which is this album, if you've heard it on Spotify, when I was mastering it, I actually tried Lander out just to see how the mastering would work compared to how I did it in-house. And what I found it did, and I had a look at all the spectro oscilloscopes and those sort of waveform things. I used a piece of software called Adobe Audition, so you can actually look at all the different ways to visually look at sound, and there's stereo scopes. It was really kind of getting technical. I found that really compressed the crap out of everything. And so you didn't get any dynamics, and everything was just just everything is compressed. And too much, I guess. And the other thing too is in music you need light and shade, so you need some instruments or some sounds to sort of hide, so that they can sound layered. You need them. You can't compress everything. And I find a lot of EDM stuff is really compressed, and it's in a way it kind of. If you find that you don't like a song, it might not be the actual song; it might be the mix.
Well, that's a lot of bands, live bands fall for that, don't they? They sound horrible because of the mix.
Yeah.
But I think things have got too compressed. I think there's a lot of an obsession on mastering. I particularly
Sausage Factory.
Who said stuff?
888berg says Sausage Factory. Sorry, that was funny. Oh dear. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think he's right. I think it's compress it to and churn it out. But I don't really do much mastering myself, because again I want to play live. So there's no way I wouldn't have anyone to do the mastering. So that's how I get out of it. I can master.
Yeah.
Because I've been taught to, but no, I'd rather get someone else to do it or not do it at all.
Yeah.
It's just another one of those processes that you think, whoa, it's a dark art. So I think it's part of your sound, though. Mixing obviously is the most important part of you after you've done all your creative stuff. But then mastering can be part of your sound, and I think Michael's in there and he's saying mix on what you know. And that becomes kind of your signature. Like you were saying, you've produced stuff and you've used those speakers, and it's worked for you. So that's actually a mastering technique, believe it or not. So you're already doing it with people bullshit so much about this stuff and make it sound so convoluted, but really all it is just you getting your sound. You've got to get your sound somehow. And I know a lot of people can get really scientific with this stuff and go, it's got to be in between -6 decibels and -3 decibels. And this is it. I don't get that. I get when it sounds good to me, right? And the more I look at numbers and get into kind of deep mastering or anything like that, the less I hear my sound, like you say. So I think just be happy with it. If you're happy with it, if you're happy with it, because you won't release it if you're not happy with it, will you? You just,
Well, right now you're listening to me through a mic which is going through a compressor, and it's going through a noise gate, and it's going through, I think there's a tiny little smidge of EQ on the top part of the highs, right? So, you know, I'm trying to improve the way I sound on YouTube, and that's what we do as musicians. We find ways to tweak and get things, you know, sounding perfect. And you, like, I think if you just upload your mix to something like Lander and just press a button and it comes out, it's never gonna be your sound. It's just gonna be, it's just, yeah, compression rubbish.
Yeah, sausage factory.
Exactly. So getting back to studio monitors, in the chat room, I think a few people have already mentioned they've got some. Let us know what you guys are using in your studio or your home or wherever you do your mastering and mixing, and let us know what you think of what you currently have, and maybe what you would love to have or what you would change. I think that's a good little topic. We can pick it up as you guys pop that in there. And I'll just, from my point of view, I'll speak about the Yamaha HS8s, because they're quite well known, I think, throughout the world. They have a very kind of natural sound. It's probably the way I would say it. They don't sound too too EQ'd or too filtered or anything like that. They just sound kind of natural. But I had these for many years without the subwoofer. So basically, when you get this, you get it as a you can just get these individual, and then you can buy the subwoofer separately. And I found that since I've got the subwoofer, it's completely changed the way I feel about these speakers. So yeah, they're kind of interesting. There's really little bottom end that comes out of these as well. So the subwoofer is kind of needed if you like a sort of bassy sort of style of music. So that's just my opinion. I've heard, I mean, they're not that expensive either, you know, 500 US or something.
Yamaha were the original monitors in the 90s, weren't they? They were there
in the big studios. Yep, they were.
Yeah, they were there to represent what the normal public were listening on.
Yep.
So that's where monitors come from.
Yeah.
Is how to monitor how the audience is going to hear it.
Yeah.
So
now we were talking before about how you've got your set of 20 quid speakers. I've got a pair of bookshelf speakers that I've had for years. They're actually made in England. They're by a company called Morn Short, or MS. You've probably seen them around in the old hi-fi days. And I actually used to, when I was about 17, I used to work part-time in a hi-fi store. And we were talking about this, Inky, the other day. And it was kind of like a surreal experience for me when I bought my Yamaha monitors, because it brought me back to when I used to work in the hi-fi store and I was demoing speakers to all these customers. These guys in the music shop were demoing all the different studio monitors like I was in the hi-fi store, and here they were sort of sticking their chest out and showing how much they knew about all this crap. And it was like, it was seriously, it was just like listening to hi-fi speakers back in the 80s. It was so
same
funny.
feel that you'd been taught, and you could see it. Yeah.
And in the end, I ended up going with these because they sounded the best for the money. So that was my decision. It was part financial, part sound. And yeah, there was definitely other speakers that sounded better, but they were like $3,000, and I'm like, no.
No, thank you.
I've made $50 from Spotify this year. There's no way I can justify $3,000 on a set of monitors. So I'm just kidding. It's kind of it's actually lucky that I haven't made any money on Spotify. But yeah,
that's $50 more than me. So
yeah. So Michael B's got a mix at home. He uses JVL monitors. He uses, I think you meant to say iZotope for mastering. I'm pretty sure you're saying iZotope. I use iZotope, which is a software plugin for mastering. I use that as well sometimes. And he uses this guy, he's giving a plug here to someone called Matty Harris, who's a pro and he's affordable, and he uses him. And he's saying that he needs better mics. Triple Eight Berg's saying HS10s. So he's got bigger ones. Let's just say, let's just calm down here, guys. We're not showing how big our monitors are, right? No, that's all right, Michael. I just wanted to double check it wasn't something else. Isotope. It was. I'm pretty sure we got that one right. Inverted Popes is asking if you're drinking Yorkshire tea, Inky.
No, it's water. So, yeah, I'd love a cup of tea.
Yeah, I finished my coffee. Guys, come and get me a coffee. Actually, it's actually quite funny. When I made this album early in the year, I went and did a bit of like, branding promotion stuff
cool.
as well, and
Cool.
I got samples made so I could see what they would actually like. Because when you do stuff on the net and you look at it and it looks all really cool and everything, but it's not until you physically get something in your hand. So I actually had to pay for this to be made, but actually it turned out really, really nice. So when you get these things done, there's two different ways to get it done. One is that they just kind of inkjet print on it, and after a couple of goes in the dishwasher, it's gone, right? And they're the cheap ways.
Yeah.
This one has actually been baked into a kiln, so it should last. So I was actually pretty impressed with that. But yeah, speaking of coffee, fill my coffee cup up. Someone's popping the kettle on for you.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, there was Triple Eight Berg. There was a meme. I forgot to put it up. I'm gonna have to put it up next week. There was a meme about sideway monitors. We should have done it this week. It would have been perfect. I forgot all about it. When people put their monitor speakers sideways, do you know what I mean? Like horizontally.
Yeah.
So you've got your subwoofer and your tweeter on the same horizontal plane, which technically you shouldn't be doing because the highs should, from the way your ears apparently work, the highs should work higher up your ears, hear them higher, and the lows. Apparently they've done research, and apparently that's how the human ear works, right? I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've heard.
And isn't having the least bit of the speaker touching the floor? Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Doesn't that makes a difference as well, doesn't it?
Well, you can go into that, right into that. Like you can put them on stands. Those stands. So
I've got one. The computer's on it. Yeah. I've got monitors, but they're not set up.
I've got stands. I've got stands as well, but I don't use them because they stick the desk out from the wall about 5 meters.
And also, they're made of metal, so metal vibrates.
Yep. Bad decision. Yep.
Yeah, I've got my speakers on like wooden stools.
Yeah. So in chat, a couple of other people have mentioned what they've got. So Inverted Popes is saying he's got the Samson Resolve 65. So the Samson are another brand. They're kind of like you know what? I actually think Samson are like the new Behringer. Do you know what Behringer? You guys know what I'm saying, right? So Behringer, maybe 10, 15 years ago, they had a really bad kind of crappy sort of name for themselves because they were producing low cheap sort of mixes and things like that, and they were doing low cheap mics and low cheap guitar pedals. That was kind of what Behringer were doing, and they're kind of now, they've brought Midas out. They've got, they're kind of growing and improving. Yeah. And Samson are taking that space that Behringer used to take because their stuff is quite cheap. And it's actually not bad quality either. I actually don't mind. I've got a couple of lavaliers from Samson that actually work really well. Michael's saying he uses SonraWorks to compensate for room and cheaper monitors. Michael, is that some sort of software thing? You need to let us know about that. And Triple Eight Berg's saying he's got foam things underneath the speakers. So
but he's saying that he's read that the foam speaker thing. So yeah, and I would agree. I mean, I got some free with my monitors. Oh, I've just turned the chat off. Whoops.
That's all
right. So I've got some free with my monitors, the foam, but they're charging a fortune for bits of foam to put under your speakers, and you're like, why would you do that?
Well, that bit of foam, I've got some underneath here, and the only reason why I've got them is because when I actually do use these monitors, I've got just cheap IKEA desks here, and they'll
yeah. No, I get why we were using the foam, but when I looked at the price of the foam,
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
it's like, I mean, I
80
understand it.
80 $80 or something for a pair of foam pads or something. We've
Or,
got this.
or
We've got this place
I,
in Australia called Clark Rubber, and they're like a massive chain all over Australia, and they sell kind of like foam, all different types of foam things, and you go there and they sell things for pools and pool supplies. It's got nothing to do with music,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and you can just get cuts of foam in their off-cut bins for like 70 cents, and
yeah,
they're
yeah,
massive, like they're
yeah,
half a meter, and you just go home and just get a knife and some scissors and just
yeah.
make your own for 70
There's,
cents.
yeah, there's gold dust there. Do you know what I did? I used when I was using the monitors. I've got some little Akai monitors. I used the foam, the packaging. You know
Yeah,
the polystyrene
yeah,
that comes in. Well, if you took the top off that and turned it upside down, the speaker could rest on it, and it
yeah,
wasn't resting on the thing,
yeah.
and that
That's a
was
good
free.
idea. Great idea.
Yeah.
I think
So
Inverted Popes was saying the same thing. He got some foam packaging in a parcel and used that. Um,
yeah,
I reckon.
but
I reckon it definitely makes a difference.
yeah, yeah, it does make a difference. But I can't believe that people are charging other people 80 quid for it.
Oh,
It's oh,
do,
we're
do,
missing a trick.
maybe the industry thinks musicians are stupid or something.
I
And
think they do it.
most musicians I
Sa-
know are not stupid, because usually we have got full-time jobs somewhere else, because there's no friggin' way we're going to be able to make a living, with businesses like Spotify raping us for all of our music for free, basically. So, we like, I've got a computer science degree. I'm not stupid, and I definitely know when I'm being ripped off, and 70, $80 for a little tiny
I'm gonna have
square of foam.
I'm gonna have another rant now
Have a rant.
about
Go for it.
right about so sound insulation.
Yep.
So I haven't got any here, but I had got some up, but it was all the boxes of all the equipment I've got
Yeah.
rearranged in odd shapes so that it wasn't hitting a hard wall.
Yep.
But that's all sound insulation is making that wall not flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making it
Breaking up
odd.
the flat surface. Yep.
Yeah, and with different textures, really. So
Yep.
so I basically can soundproof this for free with all the packaging of all the kit I've got. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's brilliant.
So, well, look, there was, where you can't see here, there was a whole wall full of stuff.
Yeah.
Records.
Eggshell sort of stuff. Yeah.
No, it's like records.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Records are quite good. Record shelves, bookshelves are good. Anything like that you can use. Anything where you can have odd ins and outs of depth and texture and odd shapes can be used as sound insulation. But the price of sound insulation is horrific.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
If you go to a movie theater, what have they got for their sound installation? They've got curtains, big heavy curtains, and I mean curtains. I honestly I wouldn't be surprised if you put curtains up; it'd be cheaper than putting those proper. If you went to a music store and bought the acoustic treatment tiles that they want you to buy, I reckon it'd be cheaper to put curtains, and it would do exactly the same thing. The same thing.
Yeah, or if you've got a bookshelf, or if you're into records, anything that just cuts that wall out. So when I do look at certain channels,
canvas art, even put canvas art on your wall.
Yeah.
Like you've got you've got a bit of artwork, but actual canvas is good, not glass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely, yeah. No, that's not glass.
You go and get photos of your kids or something, print them out in canvases, chuck them up on your wall.
Anything like that. So I do question.
Your wife
sometimes.
Would let you do that. My wife would let me do that. She wouldn't get angry if I did that, because you got lovely photos of the kids up. That's nice. Shout out to Charlie. He's joined us. How you going, mate? And what was I going to say? There was Inverted Popes are saying Spotify is an interesting conversation in itself. Absolutely. Jason McCary saying thick blankets and room darkening curtains. Oh yeah, darken the rooms. Yeah. Good idea. Get the. Well, I live in Australia and we get really hot summers here. Like In Celsius, it's, averages around 40, 35 to 40 degrees for months
Too
and months
hot.
on end. That's really hot. And when you're playing the
Too-
synthesizers and getting all sweaty and headphones and stuff like that, you can't run fans because it gets all picked up through all your acoustic audio stuff. So, yeah, get the room dark, block all the windows out. That's the way to keep it cool. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, let's have a quick look what's happening in chat.
I'll pick the phone up.
I'm just going to have a little scroll. So Michael was talking about Sonar Works. It profiles your. Oh yes. I know about that stuff. And I can't remember if that's the one where you can actually set your mic up and you put it in different parts of your room and it profiles your room for you, or you can just do it with one mic. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that. That's actually a pretty cool idea. This room here where you see me, there's absolutely no acoustic treatment in this room. I don't do vocals in here, and everything that I record in this room is through a cable that goes into a mixer. So there's nothing being played in the air in here. So I don't need to worry about it. Apart from my live streams, which you can hear the lovely echo in the background.
It's natural reverb, isn't it? It's natural reverb.
Yeah.
Well, I gave up because I thought I'm probably going to end up playing in a club. So a club is probably the most echoey, dead space, untreated place with terrible speakers. So I packed all my stuff away and my monitors and just stuck with what I think sounds good to me,
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do think if you're making music, that program, that Sonar program, I've seen some good stuff with that and the head. Is it? Have you seen the head with the microphone microphone in it?
The head with the microphone in it.
Yeah, is it binaural headphones?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
That head, that's like really expensive, but that's the same kind of principle, isn't it? Where it bounces off all the walls and then tells you exactly what you should be doing and how to compensate it.
Well, that technically reverb shouldn't happen because audio scientists have actually discovered a way to have waveforms cancel each other out by inverting them and putting them, So they've actually, technically they've cured snoring, for example. Because
have they?
Yeah, apparently if you play,
no.
If you record,
what's the number?
If you record someone snoring and you play it over the top of someone snoring, but you invert the phase or whatever of it, it cancels the snoring out completely. So, this will probably get a few people screaming. But technically, you could actually remove reverb in the same principle. You could remove it through waveform manipulation. And I think once computers start to become more powerful, they'll be able to do it just in the box. At the moment, I don't think computers are powerful enough to do it yet, though. So, but in the next 10 years, you'll start to see a lot of this stuff. We won't need acoustic treatments. We won't need half of the things that we need at the moment, because it'll be electronically. I mean, it's getting good now already. I mean, I'm using, like I said earlier, I'm using the EQ and noise gate. Let's have a look. I'll show you this is just for the guys on the stream, because Inky, you already know. I've already shown you. So I'll just share my Mac screen. Okay, so this is just my Studio Live mixer, and you can see me talking into it right now, and you can see there's a compressor pumping away, and you can see that it's on auto. You can see the threshold and the ratio and all that settings there. You can see I'm using a noise gate here. If I was to turn the noise gate off, you'll hear a lot more noise. Listen to this. There's all the noise in my room. You can hear the PC running, the fan. There's all sorts of like echoey. You can hear it echoing even worse now when I go back like that. Okay. Turn the noise gate back on. It cleans it nice. And no EQ. Actually, I thought I had EQ, but there's no EQ. So there you go. So, I mean, a lot of stuff you can do just in the mixer. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I always wonder when I do see studios that are perfectly soundproofed. You know how much investigation people have done into soundproofing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, how much money have they spent? Like you see photos on
and
social
do they
media,
understand
don't you?
why? And do they understand why? Because actually, that stuff you stick to the wall, the proper stuff,
Yeah.
isn't the best stuff.
No, it's not.
Because it's all uniform. So actually, what you've done is just make it a bit less dead.
Yeah.
You know what?
Well, you're directing, because the foam is supposed to absorb, but also the little angles on it is supposed to bounce it in different directions, right? But
then,
if you've got them all,
they're not. The angles aren't big enough. They should be.
They're tiny. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Maybe
Yeah,
there's a bit of smartness in the way movie theaters do it with those big rolling curtains. I mean, each one of those curtain drapes down is not going to be symmetrically perfect across. So they probably deliberately do it so that they're all kind of non-uniform. And I don't know. Whenever I go to a really good movie theater, I always have a beautiful audio experience in movies because of the surround sound, and it's always a really nice. You know what I mean? Like when you go to a really decent theater, you get a really good audio experience, don't you?
Yeah. So don't spend money on expensive. Yeah. And
Inky's tip for the day: don't spend money on expensive tiles for your wall. So yeah, 888 Berg's asking to see your music link. Would love to check your stuff out. Just for 888 Berg, we're going to put Inky's YouTube channel link in the description once the video uploads, so you'll be able to check that out. And I'll definitely make sure that that's up high, so you don't have to scroll down and find it. Just like I did with Michael a couple of weeks ago. So
you can also click on other people's icons.
Yeah, the chat.
Yeah. But I should explain that my channel is all about. So, what do? I do instant jams, right? So, nothing is rehearsed. So, the last thing I did was just testing out some parameters I'd mapped on the MPC to the launch control. But mostly, it's kind of go in, make it, and record it. And if it's not made and recorded within, live, then it doesn't go up. So it's not, that's how I work. It's all pretty much jams. Because if I thought about it, I wouldn't actually put anything up and nothing would ever be finished. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah,
they're just a bit of fun, really.
Well, if you can see just below Inky now on your screen, you'll see Inky at Damn Cat Studios, right? You can see it. It's written there. If you just search for that, 888 Berg, you just type that into YouTube search. Don't do it now because we want you on the stream for it. But when you're finished, you can just search for that, and you will find her channel. Actually, that point that you
don't expect too much.
That point that you just made, though, Inky, I completely agree with you. Like, when you're a YouTuber, you kind of got to say to yourself, am I a YouTuber? Am I a musician? Am I just some hack guy, nerdy sort of, whatever girl in your case, And for me, I don't want to pigeonhole myself. So yes, I've got a YouTube channel, and yes, I produce music. But I probably would still classify myself as just a hobbyist, and hobbyist in YouTube as well as hobbyist in music. And if that happens to make other people enjoy it and happy, then great, it's awesome, and we'll share the love. But at the same time, I can be very kind of sensitive and worried about what I actually show in the real world, because you don't want to put something up and then someone's like just telling you sound crap and you should go back to school or whatever. So
no, nobody wants that. Everyone's got that paranoia. But mine, I started by accident. I was talking to someone on Point Blank music YouTube site, the school in London.
Yeah.
Having some geeky conversation, and someone subscribed to my channel, and I thought, So I made some bad Volca video that's still up there about double sequencing a Volca with a MIDI controller sequencer. And it all started by accident. And I think I've got to say thanks to other YouTubers. You know, they've, you know, I've met some really great people and hardware jams because that's where it really started. I entered a competition and I kind of did really well. So
Yeah.
I was blown away. Do you know what I mean? I was blown away that people didn't hate it. It's only recently I've actually started to like what I'm putting up myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Before I didn't even like any of it. I was like, well, you know, that's all I've got. But now I'm starting to relax and enjoy it and think, okay, it's not that bad. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not brilliant, but
and you know, it doesn't matter. If you're after that perfect video with the editing and that real sort of like the stuff that you see that the big companies do as marketing video, I'm never going to get there, and I don't want to get there because that's not what I'm about. I'm trying to just, I mean, I've got gear, and I enjoy playing with cameras and things like that, but you know, there's a point as a YouTuber that you're sort of forcing yourself to produce content just because it's like
attention.
this unknown demand that's out there wanting it. But there's no one's actually messaged me and said, hey Ranzee, you haven't put a video up, what the hell? You know, no one's ever said that to me, not once. In fact, I think when I didn't do a live stream one week, someone said that to me. Where was your live stream last week? But I think so. There was once that it happened, but that was for the live stream. But the thing is, like, when you put a video up, it should come out when you're ready for it to come out. Just like music, you know, make an album when you're ready to make one.
It should be the fun factor for me. It's got to be fun. So I know certain people that put up videos every day, but actually not all their subscribers can watch that amount of videos, you know? So it's not always how many subscribers you've got. It's how, you know, do they follow you? So there's people in the chat that I'll make sure I always watch their videos and they watch mine, and it's a great little community. And I don't think it's about the numbers. I think it's about, are you having fun? You know, let's not take it all too seriously. If you start taking the fun out of it and making it more professional, you've stopped becoming a musician. You've started becoming, you know, somebody in the media, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a weird balance.
I heard a really well-known musician say, I don't want to poop albums out. I'm not pooping albums out. Just because the record company wants me to poop an album out, I'm not pooping out, because if I'm pooping something out, it's going to be crap. And I thought it was just the perfect thing to say. Well, you don't poop things out. Do you know what I mean? Like you bring things out when you're ready to bring them out, because then that's your creative process. That's you know, you've given birth to that. That's your thing, and it comes when it's ready to come.
That's true, and it doesn't really matter what you're using. It's if you're feeling it. If you're feeling it. So, for instance, I have 2 circuits, and I love playing on those. They're not the best synthesizers I've got or the best equipment I've got, but they just work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can turn them on. I could go anywhere with those and not know what I'm doing and get away with it. Do you know what I mean? And have fun with it.
Yeah. I love how you've got the Akai Force. I think that's super cool. I mean, you know, I reckon everyone's got some gear that someone else has got, and they, you know, that doesn't. Sorry, what am I saying? Everyone's got some gear that someone else doesn't have, and they'll be like, I wish I had one of those. But I think there's a point where we all kind of get our gear for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we get gear and it becomes kind of, I didn't really need that, so I'm going to get rid of it. But the gear that hangs around is the gear that we find that gels with us the most, and that's what, you know, brings our brand.
But I'm not sure about the Force for me personally.
I
bought it and I was really looking forward to it. I thought, this is the answer. Rather than taking 2 MPCs and a mixer out, this would be the answer. It's the same. But for some reason, I found myself mapping the launch control to the MPC.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. But in my head, I'm going, why would I do that when I own the Force.
Yeah.
If I was completely happy with the Force.
Well,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think the MPC Live can do the clip sort of launchy stuff as well as what the Force can. Like there's limitations to it. So
Yeah, but then a clip is only a track, isn't it? So if you're used to an Ableton workflow, then yes, this is exactly the same kind of deal, I suppose.
yeah.
But if you accept a clip is a length of music, which can be a track, which could be a sequence, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can trigger events or clips of music, but in the MPC they would just be like tracks, wouldn't they?
Yep.
You'd have track news.
Yep.
Which is why the only problem with the MPC is you're always kind of stuck to what the main screen's doing. So that's where the launch control, which I know you used as well, comes in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sorry about that. You've
But
something just there.
So I just question why after I bought the Force I've gone back to doing that. I thought it was for interest. It's because I found the polyphony knob. I liked that. So you can alter the polyphony on the tube synth on the MPC.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But
so what Inky's talking about, just for a sec, Inky, your voice is going to disappear just for a sec, because I'm just going to a full screen here. What she's talking about is you can see in this video that I did on my channel, you've got a MPC Live, and on the right hand side you've got the launch control, and then you can just plug those things in. I'm bringing you back in, Inky, now so you can talk. You can plug those things in to the USB port in the back, and then you can map all the knobs and the sliders and the pads and everything to whatever. There's so many things you can map them to, and then that becomes now a live performance bit of hardware.
And that launch control is worth mention, isn't it? Because you've got like hold on, she says is it 8, 16 kind of mappable, so user you've got, so each one of the you can basically map 16 instances of the whole of that thing, so you've got so much versatility with it.
Yep.
When you go to the user, and so it actually becomes more powerful than the Force in a way as a live tool.
Well, not really. Well, yeah, kind of. The Force can do this as well. So the Force can map.
Yeah, but you're kind of, you're stuck to what the map they give you, because I'm not sure it's got MIDI mapping on the Force.
Oh, I thought it did, so I could be wrong.
Do you want me to check?
Well, yeah, I mean, that you don't do it now, but yeah, we can check into that.
Yeah.
But
what
you know what you're saying, yeah.
I'm saying that they are different. I've noticed the Force can do some tricks the MPC can't, and the MPC can do slice to chop, which the Force can't. But for me, mapping that launch control to the MPC looks a lot better, a lot more. I can manipulate more live. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
I can map the parameters I want rather than the parameters they've given me.
Yeah.
Because some of them are a bit odd. Some of them you have to go through like a couple of button presses to get to cut off on resonance, and you're like, oh, why can't it just be there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So on the MPC Live, the big thing with the MPC Live is it's a lot cheaper to buy than the Force.
Well,
and
it's battery powered.
Yeah, and
so you've got that, and that's all powered. That's all powered off the MPC, and you're good to go.
And you can sit that on your lap, and on an aeroplane, and it's got like 8 hours of battery. It's probably even more than 8 hours if I'm being honest. It's got this is not an ad, Akai. If you want to pay me and Inky some royalties, that
yeah,
pay us some royalties. But in terms of a bit of kit that you can get for relatively cheap that will actually, become your hub of your live performance kind of thing. This thing has got so many bells and whistles up its sleeve, and you don't have to worry about how deep this thing goes. If this thing's kind of flying over your head like a 747, you don't have to do half the stuff that we're talking about. You can just use this as a drum machine or a sampler. Like it can be as basic as you want, or like Inky said, you can start mapping, and this thing can be as deep as you want. It's absolutely really brilliant. And the price has gone down, I've been told recently on this as well. So Akai are trying to, fly them off the shelves. So it's probably a good time to get one.
I almost made a really expensive mistake. So when I was looking around at how I was going to DJ, I was looking at samplers, and I was looking at the DJS 1000 from Pioneer.
Yes.
And I looked at the MPC, and I'd kind of forgotten the Akai and the MPC history. And I was kind of, I don't think I'll look at that. But then when I looked at the DJS 1000, what worried me is I never saw anybody play a chord on it. So I've never seen in all the videos anyone play more than one note.
Right.
And I was like, why is that? Do you know, can you not play two pads at once? Do you get that?
Yeah.
In scale mode?
Yeah.
And I started looking into it, and considering it's twice the price almost of an MPC, there's just no competition. The MPCs are brilliant.
Yeah.
They are everything I ever wanted. And I like the fact that it's not it is a computer, but it's just its own computer. It'll be making sounds in 10 years, even if I don't update it. And I can get sounds into it and sounds out of it so easy. It's ridiculous. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
are brilliant.
Yeah, they are.
So,
I mean, what was I going to sort of show? So I've actually got your voice now over the top of this full screen, so you can keep talking. You can see that on your Skype screen, can't you, Inky?
Yeah.
So that's...
Oh, no. I can't see it. I can see it on my Skype screen, but not on the... Oh, they can see it now. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry. So that was me playing around with the MPC Live, and then where are we? And then I'm mapping, all the sliders to it, and I think there's a screen where you can actually see it being done.
So have you reversed? I've got buttons to reverse my drum samples, so I've got that nice whoosh sound.
Yeah.
Have you tried that? That's really fun.
Yeah. So you can see on this screen here, this is where you map the MIDI, and you can see like all you do is you just wiggle whatever knob or slider or whatever it is, and you click learn, wiggle it, it'll recognize it, and then you just toggle. This particular one I'm doing here is a pad mute, and it's a toggle button. So I've decided to make that a pad mute. Now the big thing for me was that I'm going to bring you back in now that we've seen that. The big thing for me was that the MPC's only got 16 pads, right? And it's only got one screen, okay? So you can have, and usually when you're doing something on the screen, the pads represent what you're doing on the screen. You can't, it doesn't, the way the software works doesn't let you split the pads to something else. Yeah. So what that extra controller does is it gives you the ability to do something else that's not happening on the screen. And so for me, it was big to be able to, at the time they fixed the clip launching side of it, and that was really something they desperately needed to fix because it was pretty crap, to be honest, before. And once they did that then enabled me to stay in clip launching mode on the screen, and then all the the launch control mappings were to do with things like track volumes, mutes, and I could manipulate. And if you ever want to check that out, if you guys aren't really knowledgeable about the MPC Live, that video that I did will actually show one of the tracks that's off my my Link album that I keep showing everyone. It's not a plug for me, I'm just showing it as an example, but there's a song on there called Circuitry, and I've actually loaded the whole song onto the MPC so that you guys can see a real finished song, and in a live performance sort of setup, how I can actually mix it, and and you can kind of do remixes with this, Do you know what I mean?
Well,
On the fly.
well, my last video, if you go to my channel, is it's basically an ARP. It's just one ARP going along, and I've mapped polyphony, resin cutoff, and lots of glide stuff that I don't really even know what it's doing. But the sound of 3 minutes of one ARP, you wouldn't think it was one ARP. And it's just me manipulating the polyphony, of that ARP, and the glide and the cutoff and the resonance. But some of the noises I got out of it, I was like, this is all I need. I don't know how it happened. I think I did it by accident. It was more a bit of fun when I found the polyphony. But yeah, I think that's more usable as a device.
Well, here
yeah,
it is here. So
about 107, go halfway, because you want to go halfway, because otherwise it's just a bit of yeah. So top right.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's brilliant. Yeah, I'll let everyone go check that out, of course.
Yeah, it's just yeah, I'm having fun with that. So
yeah, it really is really cool. I should say hi to Xils-labs. I know you popped in a little bit earlier, so big hi to you. Sorry I didn't say it earlier. Was just kind of busy with stuff. It's been pretty busy tonight. It's been pretty cool. So yeah, where are we up to? Geez, we've been going for about an hour and a half, Inky. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, well, I want to say a big thanks to people who've popped in the chat, and your usual crew, because they're really friendly, and thanks for having me.
Oh, well, I mean, as I say to anyone, you're welcome back, of course, and if you can regularly come on here, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. I'm sure everyone in the chat enjoyed it as much as I did. And you know what I love about this? We take this for granted, right? But I'm here in Australia. Inky's in the UK. I know there's some guys in chat that are in the US, and I think Charlie was in here before. He said he was from Europe somewhere. Can't remember exactly where he said he was from. So we've got people from all over the world, and we're all getting together and we're chatting, and
But
it's
kind of
brilliant.
It's saved my life, because even though I was doing a degree in music, I was kind of on my own when I wanted to leave the computer route. And also my friends, they don't know anything about music, really. One's a drummer. But so to have you guys and have a chat around the world with people who are actually interested in what each other are doing.
Yeah.
So even though I'm not going into the modular kind of way, I really get what they're doing, and I love it. I love to see what they can do, because I know I can never do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And also the fact, Inky, you've gone and shown other people that are in here in the chat that anyone can come on here. You know how I am. I like to make this is not about me. This is about you guys. And it's not embarrassing. It's actually really easy. All you need is you could even use your phone. You could use a laptop, an iPad. It doesn't have to be anything convoluted. And we just use Skype. So if you get yourself a copy of Skype, you can come on and definitely join in, and we can have more than one person on here. There's room.
That'd be great. I'd love to see some of my friends. Because I kind of wanted to do this kind of thing, but I'm not as technical as you. So
yeah,
thank you.
Oh, and look, we watch other YouTubers do this, right? And they make it look really, really easy. And I'm just a train wreck at doing this. So, I mean, this is what, stream number 15 or 14 or whatever it is. So, for me, it's, it's only baby steps at the moment. And I want to make it so that everyone, can contribute, and it's not my stream, it's your stream. That's kind of what I'm trying to say.
But you're going for the real the real stream, not the polished stream. The reality.
Yeah.
The true reality of it all.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, I'd like to keep it so that we're not influenced by anyone. It's just us. We're the actual true music people in the world. We're the ones that actually are the purchasers, the consumers. We're the ones that buy stuff. My channel's been like that all along. Like, I've always bought the gear and shown from my point of view, what I use it for and why I've bought it. And I think that's what a lot of people like, is that they're not hearing some BS about some marketing spin.
Yeah, because a lot of channels, you do eventually realise you're being sold a lot. It's all based on buying the latest and greatest. That's why I had to be truthful about the Force, because as it stands, I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend someone go and get an MPC and do what we've done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we need to stay away from that and keep it fun. Just keep it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it fun and keep it involved. And, that's why I've got the chat room up on just about every single window that I can bring up, because everyone that's on watching the stream right now that's in the chat room, they're actually part of the stream. And, it's definitely what makes this really, really important to me. So, yeah. So as I was saying, I'm just going to go back to both of us. I can definitely fit a third or a fourth people in here. I'm hoping my bandwidth here in Australia will handle it. It should do. It goes a long way across the ocean, and but it seems to work. I mean, it's been pretty stable tonight. Guys will tell me in chat if the stream's been pretty good. I am streaming out at 1080p, which is full HD for the tech people playing along at home. I know a lot of YouTubers actually only stream at 720, so I think 1080 is good, especially when we start showing this sort of stuff. I think you need 1080 when you're showing, when you've got gear and you want to show it. And I did knock the camera. See, look at that. I knocked it. Oh, speaking of quiet R's.
Oh.
See, when you watch a ranzee stream, it's it's almost spiritual.
Hey.
Oh, how cheesy is that quiet R?
It's all quiet as God has entered the building, isn't it? Whoa.
Yeah. You know what? While we've got that that thing going, I did record many, many years ago an XG song, and I'm wondering if it's still in here. You know what we could do? We could play it out. Just making sure no one's... Yeah, we could play it out, I think. Where is it? I'll probably have to bring it into iTunes or something, Inky. That's probably the only way I'm going to be able to do this. I think it's going to be a little tricky. Let's see.
Sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat.
yeah, I'm just making sure the chat is at the same time as well. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to play out an XG track that I recorded many, many years ago, if I can find it. Where would I put it there? You know when you've got those NAS drives? Have you heard of those? When you've got those network, you can buy them from computer shops that you buy this big massive fat hard drive and you plug it into your network at home and you can just chuck all your photos and your music and stuff on there. I've got one of those and it's slow as a wet week. It's terrible. And I wish I never bought it. Every time you go into it and you want to browse through all the folders, it's like you might as well just almost walk over there and do it yourself by hand. All right, here we go. Now, I've got a folder in here called MU1000 Exports. Oh, wow. There's a lot of stuff in here. Now, some of this stuff might not even be mine. This might actually be someone else. So I could be breaching copyright here, but who cares? Here we go. Can we hear this? Let's see. No, that's not working. Drag it into here. I'm running this on a Mac. Sorry. Where did it go? Sorry guys, this is really now train wrecking it for the stream.
I can't sing, so something happened quick.
Oh, here it is. I found it. I found it. Here it is.
Cool. Good.
But we can't hear it. Why can't we hear it? iTunes? What's your problem? Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Isn't it amazing how that came out of what you're seeing on your screen? Every single sound, the drums, every single instrument came out of that MU1000. And when I recorded it, it was recorded with one MIDI file playing at once. It wasn't recorded in tracks. You know how you can do multiple track recording? That was just one take. Bang.
Cool.
So there you go, guys. XG, bring it back. Who wants XG back? We want XG back, Yamaha. No, we don't really. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, Inky, for joining us. You're welcome back next week, of course. And see you all later.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
I'm just going to go out on a bang here if I can get my thing to work again. Here we go.